Devorah was a prophetess at a time when it wasn't an easy job. Throughout the book of Judges, where her story is recorded, we find that the Jews continually would fall into the trap of assimilation, religious assimilation, assimilation of the mind, not just of deeds. And the more they moved away from God, the more God would cause them to fall into the hands of their enemies. Why? Not out of vengeance in the petty sense, you got me, so I'll get you. But in order to create some level of awareness of this, that life isn't meant to be lived where the small stakes are played, that we could do better and expect more, and relinquish our sense of control, and move on to the big time where spiritual adventurism takes place. She was a prophetess. She was an unusual person. The times needed a woman. They needed someone who could nurture them and uplift them. The movement had to be from down here upward. They couldn't hear things that were coming from up, down. She conducted her teaching under a palm tree for modesty's sake. Everything was transparent. Now you would expect, when you hear her story, to question, so who was her husband? Did she have a husband? What was he like? Most of the time in Torah, what we find is that the women are described in terms of the greatness of their husbands, of their children, because that's where you see the fruit of their labors. Devorah was different. Her husband is described by the commentators as being an Am Haaretz, a person of the land, not a scholar. We don't know why she married him. We don't know anything about this. But what we do know is that we read the narrative, that what we're seeing is an apparent mismatch. She's going here, and he's going there, and how could they meet? How could there be love in a marriage that appears to be one in which there's great separation? So the answer is, she saw him for what he could be and not just for who he is. What did she see? She saw, among other things, that he was good with his hands. So she taught him to make wicks and had him bring these wicks to the tabernacle, the Mishkan. So what did that do? What was this, Arts and Crafts 101? The main thing is to have an outlet? No. That put him in the company of the Kohanim, who were the teachers of the time, of the Levium. And they were able to find a place where he could be reached, a place where he could progress, a place where he would become truly worthy of what he could be. So what we see there is that a woman who's wise builds, doesn't destroy. The easiest thing to do is to criticize, to pull someone down. Creativity in a marriage means learning to ask, not just outside, but inside. Ask for what you want. Don't criticize what you don't want. Look for what could be provided and what could be built upon, not what can't be provided and has to be dismissed. The reason for this is that a man wants most of all to be able to give. What every husband wants is to see a happy wife. So Devorah was able to do this without being patronizing, without being unreal. Ordinary people could do this. Did Barak know? Of course he knew. We could take this a step further. Either because of her, or because of them, the Jews moved forward. She received a prophetic message that they could defeat their enemies in battle. She wanted Barak to lead, and Barak said no. He said, if this battle is going to be won, it's going to be won in your merit. You have to be there. And she was. Later in her song, however, they wrote an epic song together. She doesn't refer to herself as a great general or a war leader or a woman who made it in a man's world. I'll tell you how she spoke about herself. She called herself a mother in Israel. She saw herself as a nurturer and doing what she had to do as a woman. So she was able to be a prophetess. She was able to raise her husband to a place where he was actualized and to lead people in battle and never feel that she was something more than a mother or less than a mother, which is indeed a very great thing to be.